Hello and welcome to this video, and today I'm going to be talking about the weight of all the kit I take with me when I go wild camping in the winter here in the UK. Now in my last few videos my pack weight has been over 21 kilos and quite a few people have commented on just how heavy that is, and they've said that they never normally take more than about 10 kilos with them when they go wild camping. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to look at all of this camping kit I take with me. It all has to fit into my Osprey Atmos 65 litre backpack over here, and I think that all of this is necessary for my wild camping trips, but everyone has their own definition of necessary. So I'm not saying this is vital to keep me warm and safe through the camps and nothing else. I actually have a few luxury items in here, so I'm going to pack all of this into my backpack. I'll flash up the weights of each individual bit of kit on the screen so you can see how much it all weighs. And then at the end I'm going to categorise it all into different clumps of kit, so separating electronics from sleep system, that kind of thing, to give you an idea of what my kit weighs. And then I'm going to have a look at what I could maybe strip out to improve my pack weight if I wanted to. Okay, so let's get started. I'm just going to pack through everything. Like I say, I'll put the weights up. I'm going to try and talk as little as I can because this is going to take a while. So I'll just focus on some key items, but otherwise I'm just going to blast through it all and show you how it all goes in. So starting off with the Osprey Atmos 65, there is a dry bag already in here. So this lines the whole pack. And that means that even if it rains really heavily, I know that my kit will stay dry within the rucksack. I don't have to worry about the rain cover on the outside of the rucksack. I've found that that can often blow off in the wind anyway, so you'll be wrestling with the rain cover all the time, trying to keep your kit dry, whereas this is just fit and forget type of solution. I just put everything in and I know it's going to be dry. I've also got a little metal carabiner on the rucksack as well, which is for clipping my tent onto if it's windy while I'm pitching, just to make sure the tent doesn't blow away. There's also a small trowel in here in case any bathroom stops are needed, and that is round about it. This is just the bare rucksack and it's a pretty heavy one at that. So the very first item is my Rabasent 900 sleeping bag. As you can see, I've already packed it inside a dry bag and that just helps me to compress it down. Just lean that up there. Next is my MSR wind burner stove. So this is a cook set all in one. It's the stove, it's the gas canister, the pot stand, the cup that comes attached to it, and I've got a lighter in there as well. Next is my Thermarest Neo X-Therm sleep mat. All of these weights are as I pack them in, so it's already in its stuff sack. It's got the inflation sack in there as well, and the puncture repair kit that comes with the Thermarest mat. And before I go too far, I need to get my Osprey hydraulic reservoir in there, also known as a bladder. So I've filled this with a typical 2 litres of water, which I'd normally take with me on a camp. And I need to get that into my rucksack before I start packing too much in there, or there's no space to fit it in. Okay, that's the bladder in. Next is my Flextail Zero pillow. This is a really lightweight pillow from Flextail, and it's got a high profile and a low profile. So if you sleep on your side or if you sleep on your back, I tend to find I can find any comfortable position on this pillow. It's made a really big difference to my sleep. Next up is my tent poles. So I am packing my Terra Nova Southern Cross 1 in this example kit pack because the Southern Cross 1 is the tent I use nearly all of the time. So I've separated the poles and the tent because that's how I normally pack it, and the pegs are separate as well. So this weight here is just for the poles alone. Next up, it's the Thermarest Tracker Chair Kit. This is a pretty recent purchase of mine. I bought it second-hand off eBay. I think it had been used once indoors, so it's basically as new. And this is a really lightweight way of turning your sleep mat into a really comfortable chair, which some of you will have seen on my recent camps. It keeps you really warm and it's comfy, and it's significantly lighter than most sort of camping chairs you can buy, maybe aluminium fold-out type chairs. So I'm a big fan of this. Next up, this isn't something I always take with me. It's a little glass gas lantern from Fire Maple. So you will have seen this on a couple of my camps as well. I will pack this for this example because I have been bringing this in winter. It's not essential, I don't take it on every camp, but I want this to represent my last few camps. Next up, it's my Montane insulated hut boots. I bought these a few months ago and I love them. In this bag here is a bunch of electrical stuff. So I've got a battery pack, got my head torch, a few cables, earplugs, toilet paper, ibuprofen, just in case any niggles have sprung up on the walk there. This is one piece of kit I would love to upgrade because it's just a very tired old sandwich bag that doesn't really seal itself. So in the future I'll upgrade this, but for now this is my small bag of electricals I use in the tent. Okay, we're getting into some bigger bulky stuff now. This is a dry bag full of all the clothes I would typically take. So I've got long johns, I've got a wool insulated long sleeve jersey for sleeping in bed as well. I've got bed socks, I've got my down pants in here, which are one of my purchases of last year for sure. They have transformed my winter camps. I've got a fleece hoodie in here, spare boxers, spare socks, things like that. So this is the bulk of the clothes I'll be bringing on any of my camping trips. Okay, so moving down here, I've got my orange Rab Cirrus hoodie, which you'll see me wearing on a lot of my camps. This packing isn't going to go exactly as it normally would when I'd normally pack for a camp because I'm trying to keep it quick and simple. So we'll just wedge that in there. I will go for my tent next. So this is my Terra Nova Southern Cross One, wedged in its dry bag. So again, that compresses it down a little bit. And also if the tent's wet, the dry bag keeps all the wet from spreading out into the rest of my pack. It's quite interesting actually, packing this right now in a bit of a rush and not wedging everything in. My pack is already full almost right to the top, so it's going to be a challenge to get the rest of this in now, but I promise this is everything I've taken on my last few camps, so I know that it does fit in here. Let's carry on. So this is my my mountain equipment light line down jacket. So it packs away nice and small, but once it's lofted up, that's a really, really warm coat. And that keeps me nice and warm as well. This is my Sea to Summit collapsible bowl. So it's a lovely big bowl for my breakfast and it packs down to absolute nothing. It's just a flat disc. And also my Life Venture titanium long spoon, which is an absolute must for eating out of these food pouches. Okay, waterproofs. We are in the UK, so obviously you need to take some protection from the weather. I've got my Cartula micro spikes here, so these are essentially mini crampons that help you walk on snow and ice. Waterproof gloves. These are Trekmate's, what are they called? Chamonix, I think. Yeah, Trekmate Chamonix GTX. So these are Gore-Tex gloves, insulated and waterproof, wouldn't be without them. A couple of bits of emergency kit now. So I've got a first aid kit here, which I take on every camp. It's got plasters, bandages, all of that sort of stuff. And I've also got a Life Systems emergency sort of survival bag here as well. So it's a foil bag that I can climb into if everything's gone to pot, if my tent's blown away or I've lost my sleeping bag. If I just need to get through the night, I'd rather carry something this size and this weight and this cost. I mean, I think this is less than 20 quid. So for the sake of saving my life or extending my life so I can be found if things really do go wrong, I would really recommend you take something like this. Okay, we're starting to get onto some of the filming kit now. So this is my GoPro sort of carry case. It's also got a spare battery pack in here as well for charging my filming kit, wrapped up in a dry bag because this always goes on the outside of my bag. Okay, so food. In terms of food, I have brought a chocolate pudding, a chicken meal and a pasta meal. So these are quite typical for me. What I would also do is add a big sandwich bag full of cereal, which is ready to mix in the morning with hot water. So I already know the weights of the cereal. I haven't packed that because it seemed like a bit of a waste to pour it all into a bag, but I'll flash up the weight for my typical cereal bag I take on a camp. And then these three meals as well, we've got 300 grams, 300 grams and 200. So that's 800 grams there. Just trying to work out what to look at next. So I've got my Sawyer water filter here, Sawyer Mini, and also my Ceenoc Vecto water bag. So what I would do is take the bag over to a stream, fill it up with water, and then I can pass it through the filter all the bits out of it, and then ideally boil it up as well before I drink it. And then there are lots of little bits down here. I'll talk you through them quickly. I've got 3 little snack bars there because you never know when you're going to need a snack. I've got a selection of pegs here. I never really take just the standard manufacturer pegs. For example, my Hilleberg Solo takes 12 pegs as a minimum to pitch if you want to, because it's got 12 guy lines which double up onto 1 peg each. So that's 6 pegs for the guy lines and then 6 for the base of the tent. So you can just use 12 pegs. But if I'm heading out onto a fairly exposed position and if there's a lot of wind up there, I add at least 10 pegs. So I'll take a minimum of 22 pegs when I'm pitching the Solo somewhere fairly dangerous and brutal. It really depends on the tent and depends on the conditions, but this is a fairly typical selection of pegs I'd take with me, and this is actually the very same bag I took on my last camp. Again, a few more bits and pieces. There's a little knife here because you never know when you might need a knife. I've also got some spare guy line and some paracord here because again you just never know what might happen or how you might need to get yourself out of that situation, be it a snapped guy line or a broken tent pole. Paracord and guy line can be useful for all sorts. I've also got a little fire stick here which is my sort of emergency backup lighting system for my stove. Sponge as well for drying off the tent if you've had any condensation or anything like that. Got my toothbrush and toothpaste. I've got a short pole repair sleeve here, so if a pole does bend while I'm out, you can slide this on over the bend and just secure it in place with some tape. Hand sanitizer. I'm sorry if not all of these items are being grouped helpfully on the screen, but I swear everything I have here on the floor right now is captured in all of the weights I've put up on the screen. Okay, so I've got a water bottle here. I would normally fill this with 500 millilitres of water. That will help me cooking. So although I've got 2 litres of water in the water bladder, it's a bit awkward trying to stand the rucksack up and squeeze water out of the bladder into my cook pot. So I'll just stick 500 ml of water in this Nalgene bottle here. And I also use this as my hot water bottle in the night, so this can contain really hot water. It's got a good screw cap on it, and that keeps me nice and warm on the cold nights. Okay, a bunch of spare pegs. I tend to use these to hold my trekker chair kit down. So if it's a bit windy, that chair just wants to blow off on the wind, so I use a couple of pegs to hold it down. And I also use pegs like this to hold my tripod down when I'm filming in the wind. This is a little monocular my parents gave me, so this allows me just to check out where I am. It's just basically a mini telescope, really small, really compact, and it's also been handy in the past for trying to look off into the distance when I think I can see someone camping in my intended spot for the night, and it can save me a bit of time if I'm going to head somewhere and realise that that's not going to be my destination. It's also nice just to sit out in the evening and look at the mountains around you. Sorry if I'm speaking very quickly on this video, I'm just trying to blast through all this so I don't bore you too much. Okay, I've got a couple of little digital gadgets here, digital thermometer and a little digital anemometer as well. I like to know what the conditions are around me, but I also think it gives you a bit more information so you can get a feel for the kind of conditions I'm camping in. Okay, we've got 2 tripods here. One's a little mini tripod, it's extendable, and I use this while I'm walking and filming. And then I've got one here as well, which is a little mini expanding tripod as well. So I can stick that out, put the camera on top, and I tend to peg this down at the bottom with those little silver tent pegs I showed you earlier. I'm now going to pack my drone. So this is a brilliant little bit of kit, really. I'll unpack it quickly so you can see what it looks like. So that's it when it's unfolded. This is my tiny little DJI Mini 2 drone. This is what I use to capture my aerial shots while I'm out and about on camps. And because it's so very lightweight and so compact as well, it just packs down to a really useful size. The drone itself, with the battery inside it, only weighs 249 grams, which is just unbelievable, really. But yeah, when I take this out, I also have to bring the remote control, which I think weighs even more than the drone. And I also bring 3 battery packs with me. That just means I get a decent amount of filming time while I'm out and about. And the very last item is this Van Gogh closed cell foam mat. So this is nice and light, it's quite cheap as well, and it folds all the way out. You'll notice that on this side it's silver, so that's a sort of reflective thermal covering, so that when I'm lying on it, it bounces heat back at me, and it folds back down into a really compact size actually, given the kind of protection it gives you. Not only is it a sleep mat, you can use this as a sit mat, so if you want to sit outside by your tent, this is really handy because it keeps you dry and off the cold ground. And I also like to put this underneath my Trekker chair kit when I've set that up and I want to sit outside. It just protects the underside of my sleep mat while I'm sitting on it because I don't want to puncture it. Okay, so everything is in there now. I'm just going to close up the dry bag if I can, because like I say, I've really rushed this pack, but I'll try and get it all zipped up and show you what it looks like. Okay, so that is it. And as you can see, there is quite a lot of stuff in here really. So this weighs in at just over 21 kilos. Bear in mind I weigh about 80 kilos. This is just over a quarter of my body weight, so I definitely feel this weight on my back. Okay, so now the pack is all loaded up, I'm going to run through the different categories of weight. So I'm going to break everything into subcategories and tell you how much they weigh, and then you can maybe compare them to your own, and we'll maybe look at how I could save some weight. So the pack itself is 21.2 kilos loaded up. But when it's empty, just with the dry bag, the trowel and the carabiner, that's 2.5 kilos before I've even started, before I've put anything in there really to get moving. So my shelter, which is my tent, footprint, poles and pegs, comes out at just under 2.2 kilos. My sleep system, which is those two mats, the sleeping bag and the pillow, that's 2.8 kilos. And all of that stuff right there is 7.46 kilos before I've got any clothes or any food or any filming gear or anything like that. So 7.5 kilos already. And there's also no water included there. So clothing comes up to 2.9 kilos. Electrical and filming kit comes up to 3.2 kilos, which is really quite staggering. Food and drink, including water filter and the water collection bag, that's 3.97 kilos. Cook system is 627 grams, and then emergency kit, including the knife, is 520 grams. So that's just a little bit of a breakdown there of what I've carried with me. So what I've also done is I've made a note of where I think I could save weight. Straight away, water is over 10% of my pack weight. So what I could do is walk around, find water sources. Maybe there are little streams running around. I can collect water, filter it, boil it and use it. I don't always know where I'm going to be camping, and I don't always know the area where I'm going to be camping either. And particularly in summer, you can't always guarantee that the water that was there in the winter will still be there because it might have dried up. So I tend to carry quite a bit of water with me just in case. But if I know the area really well, then I will just rely on collecting water and filtering it as I go. So I've also categorized some luxury items here. So I've listed my flex tail pump, which I love because it's a pump and a lantern all in one, and it deflates my mat after using, and it weighs so little that I personally think I might as well carry it anyway because it makes my life so easy. But I could take that out and use my head torch instead. My monocular, my thermometer, the anemometer, the gas lantern, the Trekker chair, the pillow, insulated boots. I could take all of these out if I really wanted to save weight, but they're in here because I choose to take them. I want those items with me because they just improve my camping experience. You might think differently. You might think that's just an absolute waste of space and weight, and that's up to you. If you don't want to take them, you really don't have to. Okay, so filming gear. My filming kit and electrical stuff comes up to 3.2 kilos. So I could save, what's that? It's over a sixth of the pack weight. It's getting on for 20% of the pack weight just by deciding not to film my trips. I like filming them, I like watching them back myself, I like the thought of having all of those trips recorded so I can watch them again in the future, and I like sharing them with you as well, so 3.2 kilos comes with me. Okay, so clothing was quite an interesting one to me. That was 2.9 kilos, so even though it seems like a lot of weight, I have actually got some fairly lightweight kit in there, so the down jacket for example, the down trousers, the amount of insulation they give you for such a low weight makes them prime candidates for camping gear. Really, the only thing I sometimes don't use out of all the clothing I take is maybe one pair of spare socks. But I've got the hat, the gloves, the waterproofs, the down pants, the fleece, the thermals to sleep in, spare socks, spare underwear. It all really adds up, and I can't believe it's just 3 odd kilos that goes into my pack. So I need those clothes, and I won't be stripping them out to save weight. So out of everything I've shown you here, I think I could strip out my insulated boots because they're not necessary. But like on the last camp I went on, the ground was absolutely waterlogged and my shoes were completely saturated, and it's really important to keep your feet warm, clean and dry. So if I get to camp, I put some dry socks on. My option is then just to put my wet walking shoes back on if I want to go outside the tent. So having a pair of insulated dry boots tucked away nice and dry in here is really good for me because it means I can walk around at camp and I don't need to worry about having wet feet. I could also ditch that fire maple lantern if I really wanted to. I don't take it on all the camps and it weighs something like 150 grams. I think I'll stick a reminder of the weight up here, but it's not a lot of weight, and sometimes I just like to take it because it gives quite a nice sort of warm, comforting feel when you're out, particularly in the windy Welsh conditions, and you want to just sit there and feel nice and warm even though it's 1 degree outside. Well, I think that brings me to the end of this video. I'd love to hear what you all think. Maybe you think I carry too much kit. Maybe you think you carry even more than me. I'd love to hear what other luxury items people take along. I know some people like to take a healthy selection of beers with them. They might also like to take a radio and sit out listening to that. Maybe you'll take books, maybe take mobile discos and disco balls, who knows. But I'd really like to know where you save weight or where you think I need to save weight. I know that, so for example, Uncle Pete, who has his own YouTube channel, I'll stick that up here, he got in touch to say that he takes really no more than about 10 kilos. So he has a really light shelter, much lighter pack. So his pack is 500 grams compared to my 2.5. So straight away he saved 2 kilos there. It has different stoves, many lightweight things, and it comes down to sleep systems as well, which can really weigh a lot. I sleep cold, so I have to take a lot of stuff to keep me warm in the night, but maybe you sleep hot and you can just sleep on, I don't know, a crisp packet and wrap yourself up in a few bits of moss, and that's all you need to keep warm through the night. But do let me know what you think of my pack weight. Share your pack weights with me, and don't cheat. You have to include all of your food and water and the weight of the pack itself. I want to know what you're putting on your back when you go camping. Thanks for watching this, and check the description for any links and discount codes for some of the kit I mentioned in this video. I'll see you on the next one.